my name is Vilma and I am a knitter from Finland, and on my channel I share my personal knitting progress and what projects I'm currently working on. And it has been quite a while since my last update, so I have 2 finished objects and kinda a lot of progress spread around many whips. So, to start off with, I want to mention my finished objects, of course. And since it has been a while, I'm going to use my notebook for some help here. So, my first finished objects are these socks, and I have actually worn them quite a lot since I finished them, so if you find it gross that I'm showing you a pair of used socks, I'm sorry. But personally I think that after you start using knitted socks, it kind of makes them bloom in a way that you can't really see with a brand new pair of socks. So this is the design by Nina Laitinen, called 24H Avec, and it was featured in the Novita Arabia sock magazine that came out a few years ago. I have the digital copy of that magazine, and unfortunately I don't think you can find this pattern anywhere else. So now for my notes. I cast these on the 11th of November 2024, and I finished them on the 24th of February this year. So I've had them finished for a few weeks by now, since I'm filming this on March. And the yarn I used was the Seitsemän veljestä yarn by Novita, which is also the recommended yarn in the pattern, and I used 3.5mm needles. I did not gauge swatch. I never swatch for a pair of socks, I can't be bothered. And yeah, no further notes. So I'll insert a little clip of myself wearing these socks so you can see how they look on the foot. But as you can see, the design is you make these sort of little, I don't know how I would call this motif, but it's basically like a little moss stitch motif that you do just with knits and purls. And it creates a very stretchy fabric, so because of that you don't need any ribbing for the top of the sock. And it goes through all the way to the toes. And because the fabric, maybe I can show the sock kind of from the front as well. Because the fabric is pretty stretchy, I think this will fit a pretty good number of people. The pattern comes in just 2 sizes, 37 and 39 EU women, but I can think that this could accommodate a little bit of a larger foot as well. And for the heel, you do a heel flap and gusset, and I actually don't know what you call the toe decreases in English that you do for this sock, but it's I don't know, a pretty basic one in my opinion. You can tell by the shape. So if you can get your hands on the magazine, if you want to make them, I would recommend them. I think this is a pretty nice, a pretty easy sock pattern, and I have really enjoyed wearing these socks. And yeah, I will continue to wear them for some time before they definitely need their first wash. Then my other finished object is actually the first pattern of my spring plants that I have cast on, and it's a pair of mittens. So this was a gift knit for my boyfriend, and if I put on one of the mittens, maybe you can see that for me it's a little bit big. Definitely the thumb is too big for me, but yeah, these were a gift knit for him. Once again, let me take out my notes. So these I cast on the very first day of March, and I finished them on the 10th of March. So it took me about, 9 days? A bit over a week to finish them. And I was able to get a lot of work done on these because these are a small, really easy project. It's just stockinette stitch all the way. So I was able to take these with me everywhere, and I was knitting, you know, on the bus, at my parents' house, at work even, like when I had the chance, a quiet moment. So yeah, I did do, oh yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. I should mention the pattern. So this is a free pattern, also by Novita Knits, from their website. It's just called in Finnish Peruslapaset kiilapeukalolla. I will put the name, of course, on the screen if you don't speak Finnish. And I used, even for these, the 7 veljestä yarn that I had in my stash, and 3.5mm needles. But if Novita yarn isn't local to you, you can just use any old Aran weight yarn for this. And it's a free pattern on their website. I will link it in the description box. And otherwise I did these exactly as the pattern suggests. The only modification is that I made the ribbing, maybe I'll just show one. I made the ribbing much shorter. I think in the pattern it tells you to make it for maybe for 10 centimeters. This is just 5 centimeters, and that was a special request by my boyfriend. He wanted it to be basically as short as possible because he always puts his mittens, you know, after he has put on his jacket, just kind of wants to put them on quickly and not really fuss around with the long ribbing. And then the other modification that I did was I added another color, because the sample on the Novita website is just using one color, but my boyfriend wanted me to use the purple color, but unfortunately I only had 30 grams of the purple, and I weighed the mittens, and the mittens weigh about 73 grams. So I needed a bit over 40 grams of a different color, and because I knew that I didn't have enough of the purple, I kind of used this beige as the main color and then made these kind of stripy accents with the purple. And I think they came out really cute, and I think the color changes look intentional and not like an afterthought. And I haven't given these to my boyfriend yet, of course, because I still have them, but I showed him a picture and he said that he really likes them as well. So that's my other finished object, pair of mittens. Then my first whip that I want to very briefly talk about is my Carrie's slipover, designed by Mary Wallen. So it looks like this, and if you have been here on my channel for a while, you might recognize that this looks exactly the same as it has for a few months now, but I have finally I have woven in all of the edges everywhere, on this side, on this side, everything woven in. So the only thing I really wanted to say about this one is that everything is woven in, and now the slipover is going to hibernate. Because for me, I am a pretty seasonal knitter, and different yarns, different techniques give me very seasonal vibes, and all over color work is definitely very autumnal and wintry for me. And in the spring I just don't feel like working on it. So this one is going to go into hibernation, and I will probably pick it back up in September, I will guess. But so I'm very pleased that I was able to get all of the ends woven in. I don't take a drink every time I say that. And I have also blocked this back piece, so it's ready, it's pretty, and now it will go into some seasonal hibernation. Oh, and maybe just for curiosity's sake, I can look up when I actually cast it on, because it was on the 4th of September 2024. And I will probably pick it back up about a year, yeah, a year after it has been cast on, which is kinda fun. Oh yeah, and one more thing, I used, yes, British Breeds yarns by Mary Wallen, which is the recommended yarn, but my gauge is a bit different. But if you're really interested in the slipover, you can watch my previous videos where I talk about it a bit more lengthily. Next up, I think, is my Tampere sweater by Anna Strandberg, which for this one as well, I will check my notes so that we can get some numbers for it. Let's see. There we go. So, the Tampere sweater by Anna Strandberg, I cast on the 13th of October 2024, and I'm knitting the size 2 and using Jamieson and Smith 2-ply jumper weight yarn in the bleached white color called Optic White, and I'm using 3mm and 2.5mm needles for the sweater. And my progress is I have finished one sleeve, and now I'm working on the second sleeve. I use 3 3mm DP ends for the sleeves because I prefer to do sleeves with DP ends. And I have to say, this first sleeve was a bit of a struggle boss, mostly because of my own issues. For some reason, at first, I did the decreases. In the pattern it says to do them every 4th row. I did them every 3 rows and it looked ridiculous, so I ripped back. Then I didn't do enough decreases, so then I was wondering, why is it so loose around my forearm? Ripped back once again, and now it is finished. You do an Italian bind off at the cuff, so it's nice and stretchy. But I will try it on in a moment so you can see what it looks like on me. But one thing that I realized after finishing the first sleeve is that in the pattern it tells you that the recommended ease is, I think, from 10 to 15 centimeters, and that's what I picked. That's how the size 2 works for me. But the pictures of the sample for the pattern, that is not the amount of ease that the sample has on the model. Absolutely no way. I think the sleeves are the biggest giveaway, because you can see there's so much fabric on the sleeves for the model, and when I try this on with the recommended ease, these are very form-fitting sleeves. Sure, they might relax a bit after blocking, but you know, those sleeves where you have fabric just bunching up around your elbow, and no. I would guess that the model probably has maybe closer to 20-25 centimeters of positive ease, or the sleeves are done in a bigger size than the body. But if you do, as recommended, the 10 to 15 centimeters of positive ease, it's not going to look like it does on like the sample does on the model. I mean, that's a bit of a pet peeve of mine. I think if a designer says that the recommended ease is something, then the sample on the model should be an example of that and not something else. I know that plenty of designers do this, where they say the recommended ease is something, and then for some reason the sample on the model is way oversized. But like I said, it's a pet peeve of mine. I think it's a bit annoying and a bit misleading, but whatever. I have talked about my mistakes with this sweater before, because I have them right on the front. Here you can see my mistakes. I'm still not sure how bothered I am by them. I think I have to finish the sweater, block it, and wear it several times so that I can see if it really bothers me or not. Usually cosmetic mistakes, they don't really bother me that much. I am much more bothered by if it affects the fit of the sweater. But if it's just, you know, looking a bit funky, that doesn't bother me so much. But yeah, so I'm currently on Sleeve Island with this one. I do get quite good progress on this sweater, but at the same time I'm getting a bit bored with knitting the sleeve, and also it's so big that I can't really take it with me places, so I can only knit it home. which limits the progress that I make on it. But yeah, so that is my Tampere sweater at its current place. Then the next one I only have pretty little progress on is the Run Rabbit Run hat by Lumi Karmitsa. I will also check my notes for that one. Also, yeah, something I cast on in the autumn already. Let me see, where is it? There. So the Run Rabbit Run hat, oh, and I'm sorry, I think the light is going crazy. Hopefully curtain helps. The Run Rabbit Run hat I cast on the 7th of November 2024. I am using stash yarn, so mainly the British Breeds yarns by Mary Wallen, and then one dark brown yarn by Jamieson and Smith in the 2-ply jumper weight. And I'm using 3.25mm needles. Once again, DPNs. This project I would actually prefer to knit on circulars, but I do have the right size of circular needles, but I don't have any short cords at the moment because the one I had actually snapped, so I would need to buy a new one. So this is a pretty involved colorwork project. Let me see if I can show it. So you can see I've done some of the rabbit already. It's just two color stranded colorwork, but because every row is different, you can't memorize it, and at least for me, I have to look at the pattern when I knit this. So this dark brown that I use as a background color for the rabbit, this is the Jamieson and Smith yarn. And the rabbit color is the Pale Oak by Mary Wallen's British Breeds. And yeah, because this is a pretty involved project, my progress is pretty slow, because like I said, I have to look at the pattern, I have to concentrate, but I would like to get this done in March, so I think that I'm going to really focus on this a bit more, and when I have that knitting time to devote to just knitting without doing anything else, I think I'm going to put it towards this one. Because, yeah, in April maybe it's already a bit too warm for a hat. Maybe not. Probably not. in Finland you can still wear woolly hats in April, most definitely. But if I finish this in March, I would get even more use of it this spring. So that would be really great. Then my last whip, that's going to be my Aran cardigan by Hitomi Shida. I have the pattern from this book, the 250 knitting patterns book. So if you're familiar with Hitomi Shida as a designer. She's an incredible Japanese designer who has done so many of these cable and lace charts. Like, if people talk about Japanese lace knitting, most likely they are talking about Hitomi Shida. And sometimes maybe people have this misconception that these Japanese lace charts are like, oh, these traditional patterns that have been passed down from generations that can't really be traced. No, it's one woman who made these, and it's her, it's Hitomi Shida. So this book has 250 of these charts of lace and cable knitting, and it also has a few like designs, garments that utilize these patterns. And I can show a picture of this cardigan. Just a moment, there. So this is the cardigan that I'm making. And as it's called, the Aran cardigan, it uses Aran weight yarn. I use the Pura Lana Ecologica by Cesia, so an Italian yarn. And I think last time I said misleadingly that this is 100% wool. It's not. It's 50% wool and 50% alpaca in this beigey light brown color. And here is my current progress. So you make this cardigan in pieces and then sew them together, and I'm currently working on the back piece. So I think the last time I showed this cardigan, I only had the ribbing and like a tiny bit of the cables, but this time you can really see, at least I'm hoping that you can really see the different cable patterns. So you use two different cable charts, which are basically chart A, chart B, chart A, chart B, and A. And these, I would say, are kind of middle of the road cables. There are rows where I definitely have to look at the charts, but some rows, especially for the cable A in the middle here, I can definitely memorize some of the rows of it pretty easily. The cable B is a bit more involved. And overall, I think this pattern teaches you a lot of new techniques if you are a beginner or kind of intermediate knitter, because you're doing a lot of cables. You do a little bit of lace, like yarn overs, and quite a lot of twisted stitches as well, to create those like really crisp lines. And maybe I got a bit ahead of myself, but I do want to also mention when I cast this on. So I cast it on 11th of February 2025, and also for this one I'm using 3.5 millimeter needles. So yeah, nearly all of the projects that I've mentioned today use 3.5 millimeter needles with slight variations. The hat is 3.25, and I didn't mention, but the slipover uses 3 millimeter needles, or I use 3 millimeter needles for that one. But yeah, I think 3 to 3.5, that's my sweet spot of needle size that I really like. And yeah, I don't think I have anything more to say about this one. I have really been enjoying knitting on it, and I think that the finished garment is going to be very versatile and very beautiful, so, but not getting ahead of myself because it still requires a lot of work. But my favorite thing about knitting garments in pieces is that when you start with the back piece, that usually takes up the most time. So then making the two front pieces and the sleeves, those will just kind of fly by after doing the back piece. So those were all of my projects, 2 finished objects and 4 whips, one of which is going into hibernation, like I said, and one of which, the hat, I really want to prioritize for the rest of this month to finish. And I don't have any new cast-ons, but I do have some acquisitions. I made a promise to myself that I don't think I mentioned in my videos, but just to myself, that I don't want to buy any new yarn in March or in April. And I have stuck with that so far. So I don't have any yarn, but I do have some books. Because in general, I'm pretty good at not buying yarn that I don't need, but I love knitting patterns, and yeah, I have quite the habit of buying knitting magazines and books because I definitely prefer a physical pattern to read over a digital one. So let's see what I've got. The first one is no surprise. It's the spring number of the Line magazine. So this one is number 24. And I have the yearly subscription of the magazine, so I get all of the numbers. So this one is no surprise. I have looked through it already. I mean the Line magazine usually has 11 patterns. I think this one might have 12, because one of them is pretty tiny. But some of my favorite patterns in this one would be... Now I can't find anything, of course. Yes, this one, the Amber Cardigan by Cheryl Mokhtari. Maybe this is the best picture to show. So this one I think I will consider when summer rolls around, if I want to make this one. Short-sleeved cardigan with a V-neck. I think this would be really nice to make in the summer. And my other favorite from this number is actually also a cardigan that I of course can't find. Where is it? Yes, this is a cardigan called Ravelry by Julia Exner, and it's a beautiful stripy cardigan, and I have to say I really like the colors that the sample is knit in. I think I would probably use these same colors myself. And yeah, maybe the only thing I'm a bit weary about is that the neckline looks really wide. So I have to check out the Ravelry projects if it always looks that wide, or if people have made some modifications to make it a bit less wide. Wow, such amazing vocabulary. Yeah, because I'm just afraid if it's that close to my shoulders, will it fall off the shoulder? And it will probably just limit what I can wear under it. So I would prefer it to be closer to the neck, crew neck. But overall, I think this magazine it's pretty good. Of course, it's very subjective of if you like the patterns or if you don't. But personally, if I had to choose, I would choose the 2024 spring number over this one. So if you're considering purchasing this magazine and you don't have the 2024 number, I would suggest also looking at that one and seeing which one is more your style, because I think that one had so many good and inspiring patterns that I still really want to make. Then actually the two other books that I bought, both are very technique focused, in some techniques that I either haven't done at all or I've dabbled in, but I wanted to dive in a bit deeper. So the first one is this beautiful book. I actually, I have to admit I don't remember what the name is because I can't read Japanese, but I love Japanese knitting patterns. And all of the designs are by Erika Tomei. So all of the designs feature intarsia. I have dabbled in intarsia, but I've never made a proper project using intarsia. But this book, I feel like I want to make everything. The designs are so lovely. Like, look at this swan sweater. And the sample uses a kind of like fluffy novelty yarn for the bodies of the swans, which is so cute. So you get these fluffy little swans. I think that's delightful. Then also look at the cat bags. How cute is that? Like, I want to make this cat bag for myself. I want to make one for my mom. I want to make like one for all of my friends, because I feel like everyone should have a cat bag. And also a little Easter egg, which made me feel a bit crazy, is that in this picture, in this bag, the yellow cat bag, that's a Finnish candy that's being put, or that's like coming out of the bag. That's Marianne candy. I recognize this candy. So that was really interesting. I wonder why. Do they sell Marianne candy in Japan? Let me know if you know that. It's like one of the most basic candy in Finland. It's, definitely not, this segment is not sponsored by Fazer in any way, but Marianne candy is like, I think it's peppermint? It's like a peppermint shell with chocolate inside. It's fine. It's okay, in my opinion, but not my favorite. Well, that was a tangent. Then look at this cat slipover. Isn't this like the most fun thing you have ever seen? I think it is the most fun thing I've ever seen. And then the last thing, I would like to show off like all of the projects in here, but also the cat scarf. So you could be rocking your cat slipover and your cat scarf and just be the coolest crazy cat lady that there ever was. And also this cowl is pretty cute. I feel like I would probably start with this one just to tip my toes into Intarsia again. But this is... all of these designs, they are so amazing. They are pretty advanced, but they are just so fun. I mean, isn't this just also the cake sweater that's on the cover? This is so fun, and this is what I want. Like, I really personally, I don't care if my knitting looks store-bought, if it looks super chic and timeless. I want it to be fun. I want the knitting to be fun, I want the actual garment to be fun, and yeah, this is so right up my alley. I'm so excited, if you couldn't tell. So excited. Definitely will be casting on at least a cowl later this year. Then the last book is a different technique. Brioche. I have never done any brioche, so when I was, scrolling through those books online, and I saw this one, and what a beautiful, colorful cover. This is so gorgeous. Yeah, I was immediately sold. I wanted this book. This is another Japanese knitting book, if you couldn't tell. And yeah, I've never done brioche, so hopefully this will get me inspired. All of the patterns are by a designer. Let me check his name actually. Designer called Bernd Kestler. I think maybe I shouldn't guess. I think he's originally from a German-speaking country, but most of his patterns are published in Japanese. I think it's safe to assume he lives in Japan. And yeah, it gets into kind of the basics of brioche knitting, a lot of tutorials, which is really nice for someone like me who has never knit with brioche. And also what I find really lovely, these sort of color guides. So showing you how different yarns will play together. I think that's really, really cool. And you do get quite many patterns as well. Some hats, some cowls, scarves. This book is only accessories, so no garments, which is fine by me because I personally think that brioche is the best in accessories. Also because for a garment, I mean, you're going to use up so much yarn, so it's going to be, yeah, knitting brioche in a garment is pretty expensive. So I prefer the accessories personally. Let me see a page that I can show off. Well, yeah, like this cowl is called Stripes. I think it's 2-color brioche, but kind of switching out the colors in some segments. Really cool. Oh yeah, and there was also some homeware. There is one pillow that I want to show, because I think I would like to make the pillow at some point. Where is the perfect picture of the pillow? here. Look at that cute pillow. I would love to make it. Love to make a pillow like that. But yeah, so definitely seeing some brioche projects in my future as well. Probably not in the summer, but hopefully in the autumn. And yeah, just buying those books, I hope, will help me learn new skills and kind of broaden my knitting horizons a bit more, because I love doing different techniques and learning new skills in knitting. I find it so rewarding and yeah, like I've said a million times this video, just fun. I love when knitting is fun. I should have said this in the beginning of the video, but I suppose late is better than never. What I'm wearing, I have mentioned this sweater on my channel before, so maybe this isn't the biggest crime that I forgot completely to say what I'm wearing. But this is the Queen Bee sweater by Pickles. Do I remember? I think they are two sisters who design, Heidi and Anna. I will put their names on the screen, I'm so sorry, I can't remember. And this is a very beginner-friendly top-down raglan with these pretty bulky yarns. I used the Pickles Soft Fuzz together with Puno by Gepard Garn in a blue color, and I knit this with 8mm needles, so this was a very quick project, and I knit the sweater back in 2022, so I have used it a lot. I have to say it has taken time and use really well. I think it looks probably even better now than it did back in 2022. So I really like this sweater, I wear it a lot, and yeah, great pattern. I can definitely recommend it, especially if you are just looking forward to knitting your first sweater. But so, now I think I've gotten everything out of my system for this time. I hope that you are also having fun knitting whatever projects you're working on right now. Let me know in the comments what you are working on right now. I always love to hear that. And I hope to see you around my next update. Bye!